Hello everyone, welcome to Come Sit at My Table. We're Tom and Melissa, and we appreciate you being here for our video. As you can tell, we're not at home. Now, if you watched our last video, you would know that we are in a condo in Florida, and we're going to be here for a month. If you haven't watched that last video, you should go back and watch it, and you'll find out a little more about this condo. But that's why we're not at home. So today we are making pancakes for breakfast. But these aren't just any pancakes. These are cinnamon roll pancakes. Melissa has a restaurant that she loves for breakfast. It's IHOP. And she loves IHOP because they serve cinnamon roll pancakes. Well, I figured if they're going to serve them and she loves them, we should figure out how to make them. So we're going to do cinnamon roll pancakes with you today, and I think if you make these, you're going to love them just as much as Melissa does. They're not hard to make. There are 3 steps to it because you need to make the pancakes, you need to make the cinnamon swirl, and you need to make the glaze that goes on top. But it's very simple, and all the ingredients are things you probably already have right at home. So let's talk about what we're going to use to make our cinnamon roll pancakes. We're going to start with all-purpose flour, and we need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. We're also going to use 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Now, yes, I did say tablespoon, so make sure you're using a tablespoon. Also, we're going to use 3 tablespoons of sugar, and this is just regular granulated sugar. We're going to use 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 egg, 1 cup of milk, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Now, this is vanilla bean paste, and it was a gift to us from one of our subscribers. If you don't have vanilla bean paste, you can use the same amount of vanilla extract. It won't be any different. You can use a teaspoon of vanilla bean paste or a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and it will work just fine. That's what we're going to use to make our pancakes. Now, the next part of this recipe is the cinnamon swirl. And for the cinnamon swirl, we're going to use 6 tablespoons of butter. You can see that I have cut this stick of butter. We're going to use the 6 tablespoons over here. These 2 tablespoons we'll use for something else later. I might use them to put in the skillet to keep the pancakes from sticking. But for the cinnamon swirl, we're only using 6 tablespoons of that butter. And we got the handle of the measuring cup in it. We're also going to use 3/4 cup brown sugar. You can use light brown or dark brown. That's up to you. Melissa and I prefer light brown sugar, so that's what we're using. And you're going to need 1.5 tablespoons of cinnamon. Now, usually you can't find a 1/2 tablespoon measure, so just do a tablespoon and then kind of guesstimate at the other 1/2 tablespoon. That's what you need for the swirl. Now, for the glaze that we will drizzle over top of our pancakes, we're going to use these ingredients. We're going to use 4 tablespoons of softened butter, and by the way, all the butter in this recipe is at room temperature. So we're using 4 tablespoons, and that's 1/2 stick. We're going to use 2 ounces of cream cheese. This is an 8-ounce block, so it's about 1/4 of that block that we're going to use, 2 ounces. We're also going to use 3/4 cups of powdered sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, which I'm going to have to move down here because we're going to use some vanilla in this. And then we're also going to have about 2 to 3 tablespoons of milk. We may use part of that. We may use all of that. We just want that glaze to be thin enough that we can drizzle it over top. You don't want it to be like a frosting that you'd spread on a cake. You want it to drizzle. So you're going to need a little milk. You may not use all that 3 tablespoons. Probably 2 tablespoons, maybe up to 3. Okay, let's make pancakes. We're going to start by making our cinnamon swirl. I think it needs to be made first because it can just sit there and wait. So I'm going to dump in our brown sugar. I'm going to add our 6 tablespoons of butter. And I'm going to just kind of work those together a little bit before I start adding my cinnamon. Now, it's going to take a few minutes to work this in, but you can do this with a fork, you can do it with a pastry cutter, however, whatever works for you. My goodness, if you want to, get in there and use your fingers. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Okay, we've got that started, so let's put in some cinnamon. And really, can you ever have too much cinnamon, Melissa?
Not in my world.
Not in her world. She loves cinnamon.
Taste, the smell. It's all good for me.
Yep. Okay, so that's about a tablespoon and a half. We're going to leave it right there. She would be fine if I put that whole box in, I think. But I'm not doing that because I might have one of these too. And I like cinnamon, but not like she does. Okay, so we're just going to keep working this until we get it completely combined. All right, we have our brown sugar, cinnamon, and butter mixed, but you can tell that this is really thick and probably could not be squeezed through a small hole in a baggie or a piping bag to swirl on our pancakes. So we're going to heat it for just a few seconds. Not very long, because we just want to start to melt that butter. We don't want it melted completely because we don't want it runny. We don't want to squeeze it on our pancakes and it just run off. But we're going to do it just a few seconds at a time until it's thin enough that we can squeeze it out of our piping bag, or if you use a Ziploc baggie, to swirl on our pancakes. All right, let's get it in the microwave. Hopefully you can see that about 12 to 15 seconds in the microwave made this just the right consistency that we can squeeze it from our bag and swirl it on top of our pancakes. Now, I'm using a piping bag. You absolutely do not need a piping bag. You can use a quart Ziploc baggie and it will work just fine. I just happened to bring some piping bags with me, and I thought if I brought them, I might as well use them. But I will tell you, I have used quart Ziploc baggies, and I've just snipped the corner off, and it works perfectly fine. So I'm just going to pour this in, and I will have to probably use a spoon to get all of it down in there. I want to make sure that's apart so it can go down in. But I'm just going to put that right down in my piping bag. And you can see that it's just running right down in there. Now I'm going to use a spoon to try to get every bit of that in my piping bag. So I'll just spoon some in. Get another spoonful and we'll get it all in there. And then this is just going to sit here and wait until we get our pancakes made and our glaze made. All right. Put that in the sink, babe. All right, and I will just use the side of my bag to wipe out my spoon. And I'm just going to pull the top up, get that down in there. And now that's ready to go when we're ready to pipe it on to our pancakes. So I'm just going to lay it over to the side. Now the next thing I'm going to do is make my pancake batter. So I'm just going to take my flour and put it in. Measure out my tablespoon of baking powder and put that in. Put in my sugar. I'm going to measure out my salt over my little sugar bowl because I'm just afraid to do it over top of my flour bowl that I'm going to mix in, because if something should happen and that salt comes flying out of there, I could end up with way too much. And I sure don't want salty pancakes. But you have to have a little bit of salt just for that flavor. Okay, so that's in. Now, our egg, by the way, I'm going to take a whisk and just combine all of that before I start putting in my liquid ingredients. I just want to make sure that that's well combined. Okay, now I'm going to break my egg into this little bowl. If you've been around here very much, you know why. If you don't know why, go back and watch some of our other videos.
That's not very nice.
Well, people don't want to hear it over and over, and they've told me that. I wish you'd quit saying the same things over and over. So,
No shell, rotten egg for all you newbies.
that's right. You don't want to get a piece of shell in there, and you could get a bad egg. It's unlikely, but you could. All right. So we told them. And if that upsets you, I'm sorry. My wife made me do it. You can blame her.
I said it, actually.
Okay. And we're going to put in our vanilla. And I'm going to tell you, this vanilla is so fabulous. Oh my goodness, it's so good. And I'm not going to waste one speck of that. I'm getting it all out of there, because it's just too good to waste. Oh, we got a speck right there. It won't come off. Okay. Now, I think I'm going to start with the whisk, babe. I just want to break up that egg and start mixing this together. Now, let me tell you that when you make this, you're probably going to have some lumps in it. That's okay. It's all right for your pancake batter to be a little lumpy. That will be fine as it cooks. Those lumps will cook right up in there. You don't want it to be, half mixed. You want to mix it up. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see those lumps in there, Melissa?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So that's okay. Just make sure it's mixed up well. And don't worry if there are a few lumps in it. Okay, I think the whisk is going to do it. We don't even need the spoon. Now, we're going to let this sit here and rest while we make our glaze that we're going to drizzle over our cinnamon roll pancakes. So let me grab those ingredients and we'll make the glaze. Okay, let's make our glaze. We're going to use 4 tablespoons of butter, which is half a stick. And we're going to use 2 ounces of cream cheese, which is 1/4 of a block. And we're just going to let those cream together for a few minutes. I am using a whisk, but you do not have to do that. You can use a paddle attachment. You could even use a hand mixer if you'd like to do that. Now, once those are creamed, we're going to start adding our powdered sugar. So I'm going to turn this down. Oops. And let that start working in. And I'll add some more. Okay, the powdered sugar is in. I'm going to add our vanilla. That's half a teaspoon. And I am going to get all that out there. I'm going to use all of that. Okay. And now I'm going to scrape the sides of our bowl because we want to make sure that we get all of that down in there and get it mixed well. So I'm going to turn my mixer off and scrape this down. Make sure I scrape all the way to the bottom because some of that powdered sugar is down in there and not getting mixed up. And I have a little vanilla that's splashed up on the side, and I sure don't want to waste that. So I'm going to scrape all that off. Now let's keep going.
You missed a little vanilla, sweetie.
I see that. And I've got some powdered sugar still down here in the bottom. I'll get that up because I want that incorporated. Okay. And now we will start adding our milk.
Just a little bit on the front side too, sweetie.
Right here?
There you go.
Okay. Now, let's start adding our milk. And get this to the point that we can drizzle it. And I am going to turn it on low as I drizzle in this milk. Maybe just a little more than that. And I may have to stop and scrape again as we go. We just have to be careful and not overdo it because we don't want it to run off. We just want it to be to the point that you can drizzle it. Oh, that's looking good. I'm going to turn it up and let it try to whip some of those chunks of cream cheese out of it. Get those blended really well. If for some reason you get it too thin, all you have to do is add a little more powdered sugar. Just put some more powdered sugar in there and it'll thicken up. I would put in, a spoonful at a time, a small spoonful at a time until it's to the point that you want it. Now let's see what this is like. We want this thin enough that as we spoon it on, it will run off. See, it's still just a little thick. It's not running off my spatula. So we're going to put just a little more milk in there. Let's go back and do just a little more. I haven't used it all, so we'll put just a little more in at a time until it's to the point I like it. And by the way, it will tend to thicken just a little bit as it sits. So after you make your pancakes, you may even have to go back and add a little more milk. And that's okay if you have to do that. Okay, let's try this again. I'm going to scrape these sides one more time because we still have some things splattered up there.
That was kind of bothering me, I'm not going to lie.
What, that it was splattered up around the edges? Well, all you had to do was say so. Okay. Is that better?
That's much.
Sometimes you can see a side that I can't. Okay. All right. Let's do it again. Make sure we have it all mixed up. I think that looks pretty good right there. Okay. There's our glaze. Now we're just going to let that sit while we make a pancake. So, Melissa, I'm going to rinse my hands off real fast. I have melted some butter in my skillet. I want you to look at our pancake mix. You see the bubbles on top? That's why you want to let it rest for a few minutes while you're making that glaze. You want that to bubble a little bit. Now, I'm not going to make a huge pancake for this first one because this is the one we're going to sample. And I want to have enough pancake batter left that we can have breakfast here in a few minutes. So I'm not going to make a huge one. If you've eaten at IHOP, you know that their pancakes are huge. Melissa, would you, oh, right here it is. I started to say, would you hand me that spatula, but I've got it.
Yeah, their pancakes are like 2 meals in one.
Yeah. And we love big pancakes. Nothing wrong with big pancakes. But for this sample one, we're not going to make a huge one. Okay. We're going to leave that right there. And now I've got to get my drizzle, my swirl.
Are you sure it's turned up enough?
It may not be, but I want to get that swirl on there before it starts cooking too much. I hope, there we go. Now, oops, I think I lost some butter out there. This is how we're going to swirl it. If it'll come out there. Hand me those scissors again. I don't think I cut it big enough.
Okay.
There we go. Hopefully that'll do it. I don't know. It still doesn't want to come out of there.
It's
gotten thick
in the bag while we've been.
I think so. Let me microwave that real quick just to loosen it up. Okay, it's loosened up.
Just a few seconds.
I'm going to swirl our cinnamon right there. I'll lay this over here.
Looks like a cinnamon roll.
It does, doesn't it? Okay. Now, we want that to cook. And as soon as it's ready on the bottom, we'll flip it. I'm going to try to flip this backhanded so you can see it. I hope I don't make a mess out of it. There we go.
Perfect. Well done.
All right. Now, we have to let that side cook, and it will not take long. You don't want to overcook these because you don't want tough pancakes. So we will cook it for maybe 30 seconds. I don't know, maybe not even that long. But you'll just have to watch it, and you'll know when it's ready. You can kind of feel it and tell when it firms up in the middle. And when you feel like it's firm and it's cooked through, take it out. Now, when you do take it up, you want to flip it back over because you want to see, okay, Melissa, here we go. You want to see that swirl. Now, let me show you what I'm going to do. Melissa, can you move over here? You can see the ridges where we pipe that in. And I'm just going to go right back and pipe some more of that filling right in there for the pancake. There you go. Okay. Now, let's take some of our, I'm going to move that off the fire. Let's take some of our glaze, and we're going to drizzle that right on top of our pancake. I think I'll just use this little spoon. And we just want to drizzle it right on like you would icing or whatever you call it that you put over cinnamon rolls. You just want to drizzle it right on there. Look at that. Doesn't that look delicious?
Looks really good. IHOP has nothing on you.
Well, I don't know about that. But at least now we can have them at home when we want them. All right, are we ready to do a taste test?
Always ready.
And then we'll have breakfast. All right, who gets that first bite?
Oh, well, it's my job to take it for the team.
There you go. Okay, first bite to Melissa. Is that too big?
Mm-hmm.
No, not for you because you love cinnamon roll pancakes.
Doesn't change the size of my mouth. But it's delicious.
Yum.
I love how cinnamony it is.
That's probably a sin. Those are so good. You want another bite?
I'm going to just have breakfast in a minute, but yes, absolutely. Oh.
Oh, sorry. I dripped it. Ooh.
Yummy, yummy.
Mm. Make a stack of those. Your family's going to be so happy. That is so delicious. Don't forget to put more of that swirl on there after you cook your pancake, because that swirl that you put back in those ridges just really sets it off. Okay, thank you so much for watching our video. We hope you'll give these a try. They are so good.
And fun.
And they're fun to do. And then you don't have to go to a restaurant and pay a fortune to have pancakes. You can make them at home for pennies on the dollar. Okay, thank you so much for watching. We do appreciate you being here. Right below this video, there's a description box. In it, it will say cinnamon roll pancakes. If you'll click anywhere in that box will expand. Melissa always puts the written recipe right there for you. Under that is our mailing address where you can mail recipes to us if you want to mail in your favorite recipe for us to consider for our Sunday subscriber series. And under that is an Amazon link where you can order our cookbook. We invite you to do that. Also, at the very bottom is a place where you can leave us a comment. We love hearing from you, and we try our best to respond to your comments, so feel free to go down there and just leave us a note. Under this video, there is a like button that we really would appreciate you clicking. The more people who click that, the more times YouTube will share our video. And if you haven't before, we invite you to click that subscribe button that's right under the video. It doesn't cost one thing for you to subscribe. It's totally free. But that joins you to our channel. And if you'll click the little notification bell in the word all beside of that subscribe button, that allows YouTube to notify you every time we put up a new video. So we invite you to click that subscribe button, the notification bell, and the word all. We do appreciate you being here. We hope you remember that you are always welcome to come sit at my table. Have a great day.